Well, good evening, everyone. This is another After Hours with Rictor. I'm your host. My name is Rictor Riolo.
Rictor!
What?
Leave him alone!
Now we got Rictor going. We're going to have to hear about it all night.
That's a bunch of screaming memes out there, and that's the scoop that has been reported so far.
Well, when you don't believe in Bigfoot, everything you see that might be one is something else.
Is this thing on? Am I muted? Can you hear me? Hello?
My question is, why do you think Bigfoot is real?
We are recording, so this is a little infomercial that we're doing with After Hours with Rictor. We want to promote something that we think is very special and important for Bigfooting. It's where when people get together at a location to celebrate all things Sasquatch. And our special guest this evening is Guy Edwards, who has put together this Hopssquatch event at a local bar. I think it's also a restaurant too. And he's going to tell us all about it. Joining me is Tammy Murray and Steve Elkhorn, my two co-hosts with my webcast program, and Guy Edwards, who is broadcasting from Oregon. So hi, Guy. Welcome.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Great.
Good.
Good to see you.
Tammy, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah? You want to sit closer to the microphone?
Sure.
That's a good idea.
Okay, how's that?
That's better. All right. So, Guy, tell me.
Yeah.
Hopsquatch. Why did you come up with it? What did you want to do with it?
Well, the whole idea is I've gone to a couple of Ray Crow is probably one of the more famous people here in the Northwest. That is, if you talk to anybody here in the Northwest, they'll tell you that Ray Crow was one of the first people that took him or exposed him to the Sasquatch and stuff like that. So he used to have these Western Bigfoot Society meetings every month, and when his health got a little bit touchy or whatever, he didn't do them as much. But the whole idea is I want the Northwest to be better organized than Ohio and Texas as far as people getting together and talking about Bigfoot. I still feel like Bigfoot is in our backyard. Mount Hood and even the Olympic rainforest in Washington are really some of the best places. But even Northern California. So basically, I want the West Coast to be more organized as far as people getting together and talking about Bigfoot and kind of exposing people that might not have access to these Bigfoot groups or don't spend enough time online to know what's out there, for people just to get together face to face and talk about Bigfooting. And I think what I can bring to the table is angles to Bigfooting that most people don't think about.
This is kind of like a festive town hall meeting where people get together and you're going to bring guests in and they can talk to them and exchange ideas and have a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's basically a Bigfoot and beer speaker series that I'm doing every month, and I think if you read any of my posts on Bigfoot Lunch Club, I mostly am pretty much in the category of Bigfoot is probably something that science will eventually be able to explain. So a biological creature, etc., etc. But I feel like that if I just hung around or talked to other people that thought the same way I did, I won't learn about things about Sasquatch that are out there, because even though someone may have other ideas, like Tom Powell, who's going to be speaking at the May 26th Hopsquatch, is a little bit on the spookier side of Sasquatch, but he has some unique insights to Bigfoot behavior, whether or not you think Bigfoot is an alien or a flesh and blood creature or anything like that. So
why is it considered spooky?
I think because if you ever read his his most popular book is The Locals, right? And so he talks about especially back then, talking about infrasound, talking about possible government cover-ups, talking about maybe an alien influence. Those are things that and maybe even like one of the famous things he quoted was what he calls the coconut telegraph, which is basically a telepathy that Bigfoots have amongst each other. And so sometimes he'll say, if you go out in the woods, they'll beat you home. So Tom Powell very proudly loves those fringe topics, but he got into Bigfooting because he's a science teacher, so he's probably one of the more rational people or the best ambassadors for some of these fringe things. And the stuff that he wrote about in the locals 10 years ago were things that that nobody thought we would be talking about nowadays. But infrasound is something that's still a topic that almost everybody feels like Sasquatch has the ability to do.
At this upcoming Hopssquatch event, he's going to be talking about his book, talking about his theories. What?
He's been really hot about using CIA tactics. So he feels like, for the past 50 years, we've been doing the field research. We've been doing the BFRO card carrying tactics. So he's more about gathering intel like the CIA does. And so, and in fact, when he was in Ohio, just 3 weeks ago, he did a presentation about how we can use these CIA tactics for maybe learning a little bit more about Bigfoot. So instead of like doing academic research, gathering information and letting that information kind of guide us to our next assumptions or guesses and stuff like that. But oddly enough, he was approached by some people that they didn't say that they were CIA, but they did give him a CIA polo shirt. And he also got a couple of other CIA gifts like golden pens and stuff like that. So he had some people that were actually, probably spies that actually gave him thumbs up as far as his presentation. So I think he's going to share some of those aspects of how we can actually gather intel as opposed to doing academic research, and how that might benefit Bigfooting.
Hey, Steve, let's ask Guy some of your questions about the location where this Hopssquatch is.
What's the name of the bar that you guys are having this at, and where's that located?
Yeah, it's in Southeast Portland. It's called the Lucky Labrador. The address is 915 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard, and actually dogs are welcome there too, which is a great thing. But so we have this space all the way through December. So all the Hopsquatches all the way through December are actually going to be taking place at the Lucky Labrador in Hawthorne.
Tammy, jump in. What did you have for him?
Well, you mentioned beer. Let's talk about the beer that they serve there.
Yeah. Well, Lucky Lab is a microbrewery, and you can't throw a rock in Portland without hitting a microbrew. This place has, let's see here, has at least 20 different microbrews on tap. Probably one of the best one is the Blue Dog Ale. It's a old style ale with chocolate and black malts. Really tasty. I love the darker the beer, and if you can chew the beer, then I know it's a good beer for me anyway. But they also have some other beers that have like 10% alcohol, which is crazy. They've got a bourbon beer that has almost 10% alcohol, so that'll knock you on your feet or on your face. One of the great things about Hopsquatch is we have our own bartender and our own tap in our room, so you can actually grab a beer while the speaker is speaking or while we're doing our panel discussion. The beer just flows real easily there.
Oh, this sounds great. What about food for, like, if people show up there and are looking for something to eat to go along with the evening's entertainment?
Yeah. Well, probably the best things that Lucky Lab has is actually they'll make these sandwiches for you, and you pick your bread, you pick your meat, and you pick your spread. These sandwiches are super delicious, and so you just order outside the room, and they'll actually bring it to the room for you. I think everybody at the last Hopsquatch, ordered one of these sandwiches, and I mean, to say they're just a sandwich probably doesn't do it justice. These things are probably the best things. I think they're only like $6 or $7, and they fill you up for sure.
Wow, that sounds great. What about the future of Hopsquatch? You've had a pretty good start with Cliff Barrickman in your first event. How are you going to top that? How are you going to keep that momentum going?
Well, I mean, obviously Cliff Barrickman is one of my good friends, and I think that he's a great ambassador for Bigfooting and a great introduction to Bigfooting. But I think there's a lot more to Bigfooting than just one person, no matter who it is. So the whole idea is each Hopsquatch is going to have a little bit of a different theme. So this one is a little bit more of kind of not so much paranormal, but more like kind of conspiracy fringe stuff. So we're also going to have a Kirk Sigurdsson at this one, and he's has a wealth of knowledge of what he calls hidden histories. What most of us would probably consider conspiracies and stuff like that. So he's going to be on the panel, and I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Sharon Hill from Doubtful News. She's also now writes for the Huffington Post, but she's working on trying to get me a skeptic for the panel. And if you guys ever read any of my stuff on Bigfoot Lunch Club, I'm a big fan of skeptics as long as they're disciplined. A strong skeptic can still be a Bigfoot hopeful, right? So just because you're skeptical doesn't mean that you think Bigfoot doesn't exist. It just means that you want to make sure that there's a rational argument for anything that you assume or think about Bigfooting. So besides Tom, and Tom is probably one of the best speakers out there. He killed it out in Washington and Richland last year. He killed it out in Ohio. More directly to what your question is we're going to focus on something a little bit different each time. I have an anthropologist coming, and then the one after this month, we actually have a hypnotherapist coming. So we're going to talk about how hypnoregression can help witnesses go back to the place of where they had an encounter. And we have an excellent witness that saw Sasquatch when he was 10 and we were 16, and we actually videotaped him while he was in regression. And some of the imagery and some of the descriptions of the Sasquatch's face, we were able to almost zoom in on the face and get details as far as nose and hair and all this other stuff, eye shapes. So, and one of the things that I've always wondered about is what does Bigfoot's nose looks like? Because even when you see like all these costumes and stuff, you see some of them are more apish, some of them are more human, some of them are kind of cartoony, like Harry and the Hendersons, kind of a round chimpy nose, So each month we're gonna have a different topic, and I just want to bring a different angle to Bigfoot and kind of think outside of the box each time.
So where can people get more information about Hopssquatch?
So you can actually go directly to Hopssquatch.com. It's 2 S's, HOPSSQUATCH.com. The tickets for every Hopsquatch go on sale on the first of the month. And then I always want to make sure Bigfooters have the first access to the tickets. So we're about at the halfway mark right now. We've sold half our tickets. So if you want to get tickets, please go to Hopsquatch.com now and buy the rest of the tickets. After we give the Bigfooting community a chance to buy all the tickets, then we actually do a press release. We send it out to 200 different contacts in the local media. So I'm confident that we'll always be able to sell out, but I really want people who are really into Bigfooting to have this first opportunity, because I think that we can bring something different to Bigfooting that I think we don't get a chance to see in our other venues. I think that, when we have a speaker and then we actually have a panel, a discussion panel that I'll moderate, I'm going to make sure that things that we don't normally talk about are things that get talked about. And even if they seem like conflicting views or whatever, I'm going to have people that have two different perspectives kind of hash it out in a rational, calm way. But if they are going to hash it out, we are going to get some great arguments back and forth as far as what has more strength or what has more weight to Bigfoot ideas, because in the end, everything about Bigfoot is speculation, and we just have to be honest about that.
So what day is this in May?
May 26th. It's always going to be the fourth Sunday of every month. So May 26th at the Lucky Lab. Tom Powell's going to be speaking. Kirk Sigurdsson is going to be there. Starts at 2 o'clock, and we have the room till 8. The main event happens basically from 2 to 5 or 2 to 6. And then the last few hours is just basically for us to get together and drink, because that's another thing that I think doesn't happen enough at these events, is the ability for us to just sit down and have something that's not so structured, for us to just sit around a table and drink beer and talk about Bigfooting.
I'm sure that you'd like to mention some of your sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start off with Tammy first. She's actually donated a couple of. There you go. She donated a couple of pendants. And I want to say that the greatest thing about this is because of my sponsors, I'm giving away a lot of Bigfoot swag. So last month we gave away around $300 worth of Bigfoot swag. We're going to be doing it the same every month. So we're also getting donations from. I just want to make sure I get his name right. Jason Shenaman, who's excellent sculptures. I think he's doing a couple of keychains. But if you ever go to his website, he's been doing some absolutely fantastic sculptures and some nice busts of Bigfoot. Pendleton Home Store is actually donating some stuff to us, and Off the Charts Games again is donating some stuff. So, we give away, basically 3 raffles during the whole thing, and each raffle is worth about $100. So I just want to make sure that not only do I think it's worth it for the speakership and the discussion panel, but I want everybody to have an opportunity to go home with some nice Bigfoot swag too.
Well, there you go, everybody. You have it in Portland, Oregon, the Hopssquatch event, May 26th, between 2 and 7. The main event between 2 and 5. Beer, Bigfoot, Guy Edwards, Tom Powell, discussion on all things Sasquatch, conspiracy theories, things that are spooky, and Lord knows what else that's going to come up. Tammy, anything else?
Yeah, I want y'all to check out my website, sweetsassyglassy.com. Sorry, I had to do it. It's a shameless plug for myself.
So some of the most beautiful stuff is coming out of Sassy Glassy. I love that stuff.
Thank you, Guy. Oh, awesome. One more thing, Rick, and I think that you remember from the first Hopsquatch event, there was a rumor going around that Guy Edwards was a hell of a guy, started by Chris York. So I think you got to keep that trend going.
Is Guy Edwards a hell of a guy?
Can he continue to be a hell of a guy?
He is a hell of a guy.
Well, I really appreciate you guys helping me promote this. I'm really excited about it. I just want to make sure that this thing is sustained and it grows every month. And although I can't always have a celebrity like Cliff Barrickman, I think I'm going to bring something different to the table that's kind of going to open all of our eyes to Bigfooting, and hopefully we can get to the point where we can share information and listen to each other, and not be so excited about pushing our ideas onto each other. I mean, I think there's endless amount of ways that we can learn about Bigfoot, and there's so many different angles out there, and I think everybody has something to contribute.
Alrighty. Well then, you heard it here first on After Hours. See you at Hopsquatch, May 26th. Good night, everybody.